Now is it clear?
Yeah, better.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I am Anya Verma, an associate at the Consulting and Analytics Club of IIT Guwahati, and it's my pleasure to welcome you all to the today's CV building session organized under the Crack the Case series by the Consulting and Analytics Club of IIT Guwahati. We are delighted to have with us Mr. Shashwat Srivastava, an accomplished professional in the field of consulting and strategy, an alumnus of IIT Guwahati class of 2018 and an MBA graduate from IIM Indore class of 2022. He also served as the head of IIT Guwahati Consulting and Analytics Club during his time. He currently serves as the manager at Capgemini Invent, where he drives high-impact projects and strategic transformations. Over the years, he has brought his expertise to some of the most respected names in the industry: Accenture, GEP Worldwide, Vivigo, and EY, delivering results across consulting, strategy, and process transformations. With his vast experience, he has mentored numerous students on building impactful CVs and preparing for competitive career opportunities. Today, he is here with us to share not just the do's and don'ts of CV building, but also some of the insider tips that can help your application truly stand out. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here with us today, sir. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Anya. I'm really happy to be here. And I'll start the session with a brief background, only, even though Anya has given already, but I'll elaborate on that a little so that you get an idea of what queries you can answer to me, a little bit of context around that. So yeah, I'm a graduate from IITG of 2018 batch. I have 5 years of experience in my career. I've been a consultant for the past 3 years, served with Accenture Strategy for 2 years, and now been with Capgemini Invent. I have started my career with a project in the chemical industry, doing supplier risk assessments. From there, it went into process optimization projects. I have some experience even with sales enablement for the technology industry. And currently, I'm working with a global medical equipments provider to improve their revenue efficiencies as they scale into the subscription model. So, before consulting, I've also been with Revigo, a unicorn back in the day when VC funds were really pumping money into the Indian startup ecosystem rapidly. So we were a unicorn at Revigo. I was a business analyst working mainly in the product management area. So would have some insights around that area as well. So if you're targeting that, might as well ask away around that also. So that's about my introduction. So without wasting much time, I'll get into the my presentation. Right. Anya, are you able to see my screen?
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay. Now, is it on screen
Yes,
share
it
mode
is
right now?
visible.
Okay, okay,
Yes.
okay. So, guys, I mean, all of you can. I'm sure the audience for this session is our final year students primarily. So, all of you are already aware of a lot of gyan around, how to create CVs, how to prepare. And I mean, we pay a lot of emphasis on interviews, but CV shortlist generally takes care of 80% of the applicants who enter, who apply for the job. So CV is primarily very important, and we generally pay a lesser emphasis on that. but I'll try to be a little more detailed than generic stuff. So I'll go through basics uh, quickly, and there are some section wise suggestions, and post that we have Q&A. But like every other alumni, I'll first start with some basic gyan, because I have been through the placement process. I know how grilling it is for everyone, and it wasn't easy for me. It's not going to be easy for you, but it's going to be a great learning experience, and you should not take it very seriously, honestly. uh, Give your best shot at it, but don't be disheartened, right? So yeah, let's start with some general gyan, so that you feel that an alumni is giving you this session, not uh, someone who specializes in this. So right, so the world is much bigger than any placement sales list of companies, right? So all of us who have applied for non-tech roles at IIT Guwahati have faced this issue that, okay, currently being a technical college, I'm not able to apply to many of the companies who I want to. But don't be disheartened by that. Know that the world is very wide, and even now I don't know all the career options that I can pursue given my skills and abilities. So knowing that at your level where you are still pursuing your studies is really difficult. So as and when the companies come, the opportunities come, you will get at it. But I think it's just the beginning, and uh, you can apply for different companies even outside your placement cells area of expertise. But I think uh, you can go ahead, explore a lot after your placements, and even like after your seventh term is over, in the eighth term you can explore a lot. So in non-tech, of course, you have chosen this, you are the creative type, so you can, I think, there's a lot to explore if you're going for non-tech roles. Of course, take the first placement as a learning opportunity to explore what is a good career path for you. So it is the first step of your career. Your career is going to be probably 30, 40 years, right? So it's just going to be the first 1 or 2 years for you. Or if you're a lucky guy, probably 5 or 10 years, right? But it's the first step. So consider it more of a learning opportunity than trying to see if than trying to decide that, okay, if I want to go in finance, I have to go into finance for my first company, otherwise I won't be able to get into finance. That's bullshit. That's not correct. You can always switch, you can always learn, right? It's not a zero sum game. So what that means is you need to be more cooperative. I know that if there are two slots for a company that's coming in your campus, so it looks like a zero sum game, but it's not, right? It's always good to have good contacts in good places, even if you're not able to get there. So it is more of a learning journey than a zero sum game. And of course, uh, it, placements are a great opportunity to bond as a group. The If you learn something together, if you compete together, you're going to give placement exams together, right? Even though I mean, you can't do much about it, but like being prepared and helping each other when during placements is a very important time. And I think I know a lot of people who became very good friends during the placement season only. They never knew each other for 3.5 years, and during the placement day they were best friends because they helped each other out. So have connect with more people. I think your network is what sets you apart from people from other colleges, right? And yeah, this is just the beginning. So we are 10 minutes into the session, and I think this is enough gyan for today. So yeah, I'll go through basics of consulting CV, right? I think most of you have already known a lot of these things, so take them. If you already know them, good for you. If you don't, add it to your list, right? And we can discuss more specifics later. So first point is iterate, iterate, iterate. So a lot of people have a misconception that you have to get your CV right at the first time. They will see hundreds of videos on the internet. They'll spend a lot of time changing verbs, changing adjectives, changing numbers. But no, what you got to do is create a first draft and reach out to 10 people who are already working in that domain. You must have seniors, right? 1 or 2 years into their career. I think they are the best people to help you out with the precise CV iterations. If you want to send, you can send it to me as well, but preferably send it to someone who is in your organization or in your domain. So even within consulting there are domains, right? There is more of strategy consulting if you're focusing on MPPs. Then there are big fours that focus more on the implementation and operational side of things. So there are different cohorts, and even within these big companies there are particular teams that take care of specific areas of domains, right? It could be finance, supply chain, HR, etc. So whatever is the domain of consulting you are applying for, try to reach out to those individuals and get your CVs checked. What might miss your eyes or your friend's eyes might be very obvious to someone who's in that zone of going through CVs and selecting people, right? So yeah, I think this is the first and most important point. People don't take it seriously, but please do. I think this is what sets people apart, and of course it makes awesome connections as well in good places. So win-win, right? um Second point, active and impact first. I think this is the most generic one and the most common one, but a lot of people miss this. So I thought I'll include this. By active, I mean active voice. So try to start with a verb where you say I increased, omit the I, start with increased engagement by 10% versus engagement was increased by 10%, and used strong impact verbs, right? Uh, Impact verb can mean increased here, right? And the metric is also very important. So what we mean, active is the way of phrasing, and impact means what is the metric, by how much did you compete it, did you optimize it, right? But a lot of people ask, how do I identify this metric? Because a lot of people in your positions, when we were back in third year, fourth year creating our CVs, we didn't know what impact we were creating. We were there for 2 months. It was a giant organization, and we had no clue how much impact we delivered. I think we were a small part of a very big project that spanned global teams, right? We didn't know our individual contributions. But I think if you know some numbers, it's very helpful. It's time to be creative, right? We've all done guesstimates. We're all prepping for non-tech rules. We've all done guesstimates, but even guesstimates need to be done with a pinch of salt. Set realistic benchmarks. Maybe look at industry reports. What is the typical, for example, if you've worked for a supply chain assessment project, so Google what is the average uh, cost reduction using, say, inventory optimization in, say, the apparel industry, right? Or in e-commerce. How much are you able to actually optimize? And then try to set that as one lever and then extrapolate your results from there. Do some back of the envelope calculations and identify impact. I mean, if it's reasonable, it's good. But the main thing is that it should be there. Even if you don't know it, try to gauge it. Maybe reach out to those people. They would have some numbers of the project, right? How much impact, if you've worked in consulting before, how much impact have you pitched to the client before? Or if you worked in the industry, it's even better, right? You know for sure how much impact was actually created, or maybe was projected to be created. So try to identify impact. It's really important, super important. And of course, strong verbs are very important. So this is coming from basically your JDs have a lot of verbs, right? The JDs, job descriptions. For each role you have a JD which has a lot of roles and responsibilities sections. You need to drive this, you need to show these traits. So those traits or those roles become the basis for choosing these verbs. So this is a really good website I found on mit.edu. It has some resume action verbs which are categorized by your type of project. So you can look at that, maybe Google it, and it would really help you in coming up with good verbs which pass ATS. I'll come to ATS. Um, Third point, well-rounded CV. So whenever we are talking about a consulting CV, in consulting, what are companies looking for? Companies are looking for some niche that sets you apart from others, right? So you're from a technical institute, you have all given JE, you were very good at ACADS, companies know it, right? You're superb at maths, you have good analytical skills, which is why they are here to hire you. But what will set you apart from the crowd that is applying for is some point which sets you apart from others. So it could be some sports you're playing, your PORs, your case competitions, your research papers, and the list does not end here, right? The list just starts here, and it would really help if you go above and beyond and get into some specify some other things that
Excuse me,
demonstrate.
sir.
Yeah, yeah.
Sir, your PPT, your slides are not changing.
My slides are not changing.
Yeah, like it
Uh,
is CV for consulting slide right now.
okay, sorry. Let me share my entire screen then. Okay, is it changing now?
Yes, now it's
Okay,
changing.
okay. Thank you. So this is what I was talking about before, but we've already covered this. I won't go through this a lot, but in a nutshell, don't worry about placements a lot. Take it as a learning opportunity, right? This is the sum of this page. And then we were at the basics of a consulting CV. We started with saying that you should get your CVs iterated. Then you should have start with impact metrics, impact verbs. Your statement should be in active voice, right? And they should have strong impact verbs here. So if you have to identify impact, be creative, set realistic benchmarks, do back of the envelope calculations, use strong verbs from this website would really help you guys out, and create well-rounded CVs, right? So sports PORs, case competitions, research papers, go beyond this. Create that niche that sets you apart. Really important, specifically for consulting. And during your interviews, these would become really good talking points. How you demonstrated leadership, were you a team player, right? Uh, how determined have you been in exploring different avenues? All these soft skills really matter, right? Um, Fourth point here is that brands matter. I mean, this is a controversial point, but in my opinion, it is very true that yes, brands do matter, not just for CV but in life. So associate yourself with companies or organizations or people that have those brands, right? Uh, so I mean, there could be case competitions organized by well-renowned companies. You could have done internships with a big brand. Your founders could be ex McKinsey, ex PCG, have good uh, credentials, right? So try to add those brands on your CV in one way or the other. It really helps uh, separate or set you apart from the other applications. And basically, for consulting, generally the number of applications is a lot. So these are, I would say, small hacks that recruiters use, small tricks to select the CVs. So if they see, for example, if they see Tata Motors, it automatically makes your CV a little, it sets your CV a little apart. That's all I'm going to say. Next point is you got to tailor your CV for each job application. So, I mean, it used to be hectic back in the day for us. But I think with Chat GPT, with AI tools, it has become incredibly easy. And I think you can use a lot of stuff. And this is a tool that I have tagged here. I'll be handing it over to the team that's organizing this. You can take it with you. It helps tailor your resume for each job application using power verbs in the JD. And you can use few short prompting. I'm sure all of you experts at GPT, at AI, given your backgrounds. I won't get a lot into how it works, but yeah, it will really help customize your CV for each job role. So it's useful. I mean, not just in a consulting background, but in any role, I would say, in tech, non-tech, this is a really useful thing. And last but not the least is the application tracking system. So HRs use this tool a lot to automatically filter out CVs. So there are tools that you can use to get your CVs reviewed. For example, it will take care of basic stuff like formatting, grammar, typos, etc. Right? Keywords, quantification is there or not there. It will give you recommendations. I think GPT will also do that, but you can get it further reviewed. Right? Helps beat ATS. So I mean, these were some basic points. Um, should we keep Q&A at the end of this, or should we wait for people to ask any questions if they have on this? I'll get into to the next section if we are good with this.
Ac- Actually, there's a Q&A at the end of the session. Like people
Okay,
will ask some questions in the chat box, and then I will tell this to you.
okay, makes sense. All right. So, given all this, I have next section is basically to look at different areas which are very important in your CV and how you can customize them. What are few what are a few things you should take care of when you're writing those lines? Of course, these points, all of these points are very important, but when it comes to specifics, this is a very general list, right? But when it comes to specifics, I think specific recommendations really help. So I have created some don'ts and do's and don'ts, right, for each section. So we can look at them and accordingly adjust our approach for creating CVs. So yeah, whenever you are writing down your GPA or your academic record, I think because a lot of, I mean, for campus maybe it is streamlined, right? It's across BTech. There will be a standard way of comparing academic performance. But if there's a way to emphasize on the relative performance, for example, if you have been in the top 5 percentile of your batch, please do mention that, right? It's really important. Really sets you apart because an 8.3 GPA won't matter to a recruiter. They'll probably see a 90% somewhere, and they would consider it as more important, right? You don't consider recruiters as very smart people. They have to go through a lot of CVs across different institutes, so it's very difficult to know the relative performance. Secondly, try to emphasize on the impact and use case, right, for your technical projects. Since you are getting into consulting or getting into a non-technical role, just specifying the technologies or the softwares that you used will not really help. So even if I emphasize here that I used random forest with this much accuracy, having, I mean, what were the specific names of the algorithm, what were the hyperparameters I tweaked, will not really help because the recruiter probably won't understand it and won't really be able to appreciate what you're bringing to the table. So what you can how you can phrase this is basic is would be to or tailor it to the use case of the client in particular. So what I've written here is impact and use case. So impact and use case here is to predict crop yield. But I mean, even if your project was for crop yield, you can probably rephrase it to show how you can apply this project in the industry in which the client is operating in. So if you're at no broker, you can probably tell them how they can do lead profiling using this, right? They need to reach out to a lot of people for upselling their offerings. How can they do that profiling using the same model? So that would really help them understand what impact you are bringing to the table. So not just a machine learning project in final year, they won't care about that. But if you can use it to optimize their sales efficiencies, they will love you for it, right? Similarly, I've seen there's this portion of key courses taken in your CVs, in your templates. So it has, you can mention the names of your courses. That really helps if those courses are relevant to the industry in which you are applying for. But if they are not very relevant, or if they are partially relevant, might help to tie the course with the real life application. So similar to this point only, so instead of saying that I did a course on operations research, I can say that okay, I applied these techniques to optimize a supply chain model as a part of a team project. Because when you did a coursework for operations research project, there must have been some case study that you solved, some project that you solved, or maybe even in the book there is some article where they've given you how you can apply this in a real life scenario, right? Try to create that, try to create a GitHub repo using Gurobi optimization or something, whatever you're using for operations research, right? And add it to your CV, saying that okay, we created this, and this has real life implications that can help optimize things in the constraint of the company for which you are applying, right? Everything is all about context, all about context for the resume. The third is an online data science course, right? Again, try to add recognized brands with metrics applications. So here, okay, you scored a 97% uh, to predict health risks. This can be used, right? You've done an just not just done an data science course, but you have used it in the context of healthcare. um, okay, so now I feel I'm reiterating this point a lot, so I think you get the gist of it. We'll get to the next section. Next section is work experience. So work experience, I know you, most of you have experience doing an internship, and internships are not a very happy experience for most of us, because we are not able to complete what we aimed to do. I mean, we are a part of a small project which has wider implications. So we have to do a lot of grunt work. We are given a lot of work which is not, which won't amount to a lot of impact. But I think there's a way to turn that around and try to show potential on what you were trying to do. So if you were compiling daily operations reports for a department, you can substantiate with impact in numbers. Maybe because you were a smart IITG grad, you tried to optimize this thing, right? You are not the kind of people who would take data from everyone and fill them in an Excel report. You are the kind of people who would actually go in there and try to automate that stuff, and try to focus on what value you added. So instead of conducting an action, you actually improved it, and which led to this much percentage of time saving. So again, substantiating the impact with numbers. So and 80%, a lot of people asking, bhaiya 80% kahan se aa gaya? 80% is just an estimate. It's as good as a guesstimate. But just do a very basic calculation, how much time it typically used to take. With your calculation, how much manual adjustment you have to do, and in how much many hours you are able to complete it. Whatever is the delta is your time saving, right? Another important loophole people uh, uh, actually, this is a very common, uh, people do it very commonly, is where they emphasize a lot on the inputs. They uh, I mean, the tasks that they were doing. So I spent a lot of time analyzing the processes. I interviewed multiple stakeholders. I created process maps. I created a machine learning model. I integrated it with Chat GPT. Right? You did the whole thing. You were awesome. But what? So consulting organizations, and I mean, I think even startups, even product organizations, they are looking for outcomes. So try to substantiate what led to this. I mean, sorry, what resulted from this work that you did, right? So you spent 10 weeks analyzing, but if you were just looking at the process maps and that you were not able to understand anything, doesn't make sense for the company to hire you. So makes a lot of sense for them to hire you if you were able to identify improvement opportunities in your lead to cash process, and you were able to turn it into efficiency gains for the company. How much percent of efficiency gains? So again, generally efficiency gains are smaller compared to automation gains and time saving, right? So these are some key notes that you would key pointers you might want to take. I mean, cost reduction, only a limited there's a limited scope for cost reduction in any organization, right? So try not to be very ambitious with efficiency gains, but of course you can time saving as automation can lead to a lot of can lead to big numbers. So I think automation points are very good when you're trying to demonstrate impact. Cost efficiency gains are relatively tougher to substantiate. I mean, 10% on a CV looks very small, right? And your CV is more about telling a story than telling them precisely what you did, right? So, which brings me to my third point, and it's very crisp, but it's very important that always prioritize uh, the X factor over completeness. So you probably did 20 things, out of which 15 things were very mundane and were very generic. They were not mundane, but they were very similar to what you or me would do on any project, right? Driving the project management, creating reports, dashboards, etc. They are general, but if you did something that's very interesting, try to push it up ahead, right? Try to incorporate that in the first 2 points of your work experience. So that is about work experience. Let's move on to the next section, which is positions of responsibilities. So, I mean, here also, what people are looking for in your PORs are leadership skills, right? They want to hire you because you've been a team player, you have communication skills, and most of all, you have stories to tell, right? So, try to again have numbers incorporated here. So, how many members were there in my club? What impact did you bring to the table? So, you were the Gensec of robotics club, good for you, but what did you bring to the table as a Gensec? So, did you result in increased team participation? Did you bring in more funding? Did you bring in more projects for the club? Did you get more recognition? Was your club elected by the tech board as the best club, right? All these things are what will set you apart. There are a lot of people with PORs in the campus. I think there are a lot of student run organizations in our institute, which is a really cool thing to have. I mean, most institutions won't have it. But the other angle to it is that a lot of people end up with a lot of positions of responsibility, and a person who is coming from outside won't be able to appreciate the difference between Udgam or Alcher or some other departmental uh, initiative, right? So the scales of operations or the scales for organizing that is are very different. So try to substantiate that scale. Try to bring in those numbers, and I remember people can be very aggressive also with these type of numbers. For example, for I was a part of Alchiringa. I remember people saying that okay, 40,000 people visited the campus during 4 days, and that is something that you might write in the mails to artists, but that won't sell to your recruiter, right? You have to be realistic, and because if you write such stuff on your such marketing savvy stuff on your resume, that will look very unrealistic and that will harm your reputation, right? So you need to be passion for what you've done is different, but try to be realistic here and try to show your impact using things you can substantiate, which is credible, right? So yeah, mentoring juniors, a lot of people mentor juniors as initiatives. So try to see whether it led to an improvement in the mentee's academic performance, right? I mean, a lot of people who are mentors generally do not measure this. I mean, I think not more than 10-20% people used to measure it when we were in college. I hope it's better for you, but if not, try to do that, right? Try to substantiate that with an impact, a metric. I think that's super important. And from PORs, again, you can tell a story. So your CV, I mean, it's important to have a well-rounded CV, but try to tell a story from your CV. So if you have a lot of academic points, if your CV is acads heavy, right? We all know for consulting organizations, they are focusing on at least a minimum level of academic performance from you. So if you have that in your resume and you are a guy or a girl who is focused on writing research papers, who's really good at academic projects, has won accolades in that, try to add a few more things that make it well rounded, but try to tell a story. Your CV should not be all over the place that you have done everything, but your it needs to have one or two very niche points that will set you apart from others, but it can be a part of a stereotype, right? It You need not fluff everything. We used to say faff gas, I don't know what you guys call it, but you need not bump everything up, otherwise it leads to a very wrong impression. So if you're more of an academics guy, please emphasize on the academics. Don't be boggled by seeing that boss consulting firms might not take me if I focus too much on acads. That's not true. You try not to have PORs blank. It's important to have something in each bucket so that you show that you are well rounded, but you need not have uh, 8 lines in every section, right? You can have more emphasis either on PORs. If you're not very good, strong academically, you can't do much about it in the seventh, eighth term. But what you can do is try to focus on the PORs, try to tell a story using your PORs, what you changed. Try to look at CVs of other people who have been in those areas of responsibilities, right? And try to identify how you can set yourself apart. I think that's where you will shine. Your CV should tell a story. It's not about mentioning everything you have done. So if you were a mentor, or if you were you volunteered for Udgam, you volunteered for Techniche, you volunteered for Alcher as well. Don't go ahead writing I volunteered for all three, right? Doesn't make sense. Try to tell a story. If you were head in Alcheringa, try to focus on Alcheringa, right? Don't say that you also did Technique, you also did this, also did that. Doesn't make sense. The CV is your hook, right? CV should have a hook. So if you try to be all over the place, you are going to lose your hook. So try to tell a story. Don't get into don't faff everything, but focus on your strengths. Right now, you need to focus on your strengths. So, I mean, I only had this much to share, so we can get into cutting the jargon, right? I'm sure you're tired of hearing me out. We can get more interactive. We can start with the Q&A. Anya, I think we're good. We can go ahead with the Q&A.
Yes.
How do you guys want to do it?
So there are some questions in the chat box, so I will pronounce it for like I will tell that to you and you can answer it.
Sure.
Okay, so the first question is how much are we judged by our LinkedIn profile? If I have no post and less connection on LinkedIn and inactive, is it fine?
Uh, LinkedIn profiles are actually nowadays recognized, but I think that is more effort for the recruiter, right? So it makes sense for the recruiter to first do a preliminary shortlist and then go into a LinkedIn profile search. So if you're making the initial shortlist, it's a good chance they won't just let you off because your LinkedIn profile is bad. But I think, I mean, my point is your CV matters more than your LinkedIn profile. That is for sure. But if you have been inactive, try to at least complete your profile. Even if you don't have your original posts, try going to people's posts and reposting stuff, right? Whatever you're interested in. Take AI for example, follow good people, just repost a lot of stuff. And I'm sure, I mean, they just want to know that, okay, you have something on your profile, but you don't need to be a LinkedIn influencer for your placements. You don't need that at all. Don't be worried about your number of connections. If you have a very dead profile right now, you can go and repost stuff. But if you have an okay profile, your everything is updated, right? If your profile is updated, I think will be a good starting point. So go ahead, update your profile, but don't be very worried that I haven't posted things. So what will they think about my profile? I'm not socially active. That doesn't really matter much to the recruiter. It just should not be a red flag, right? That you have something on your profile which sets them off. It can be a, it is more of that check that it's something which should not be very off. It need not be very good, right? It can pass as okay. I think they've if they've shortlisted you for the first round, they would it there are less chances that they will reject you because of LinkedIn, unless you've done something major down there. And I mean, do not uh, use any negative tones or connotations on your LinkedIn. Try to be positive. That is all.
Mm. Okay, so our question is, do we have to choose or target specific consulting domains like management, finance, IT, or product consulting, etc.?
I think for your placements, you can stick with what companies are coming to you. If this is more for a placement related question, but as far as career options go, I mean, prioritize your placement list first. So I think based on what I understand, there are not a lot of options in consulting right now. So you might want to tailor your approach according to that for your placements at least. But if you want to identify overall what should be the right, you should definitely have different CVs for each of these domains. But if you want to apply for them and want to figure out what will work the best for you, you can talk to some people who are in working in these domains. You can identify what type of work they are doing and then take a call. But it's more about what type of work you want to do. So as I said before, right, it's more of a, it's your first job in your 30-40 year career. It's not going to matter. It is not going to matter. Take my word for it. So it will just matter because it will either make you very convinced you want to do something, or you will be very convinced that you do not want to do this. So which, both of which are good outcomes, if you believe me. So I think you should definitely talk to a lot of people, but technical being from technical backgrounds, we tend to overanalyze things. And I've seen people who come from non-technical backgrounds back in B school, they are more, you know, prone to take risks because they have led their lives that way. So I think we should take some hint from there. We should, every experience is different for every individual. You can't judge someone for taking a particular career option. You it depends on your interests, right? And what type of people you meet. Sometimes you get into, say, strategy consulting, but your bosses are not very keen, so you don't really like that type of work also. So it depends a lot on what career path you take. But overall, yes, talk to a lot of people. I get to know what type of work they are doing, and then start applying outside of the campus as well. But for the placement season, please prioritize the companies that are coming. I think a lot of analytical consultancies come, by which I mean companies who are focusing on the problems of the clients that are very much related to data science and analytics. I think that is a good domain. Other than that, I think Accenture is also coming for you, so they would be more general strategy consultants. But Accenture's niche is technology. So you might want to focus on uh, the technology industry. What are the type of problems that the technology industry faces, right? On is focusing on. So all the AI gyan that you all guys have, it can be given in the context of a business problem for a technology company, and I think that's where you would shine. So I'm sure for a technology consulting, you guys would be best prepared, but try to tailor your approach for different types of consulting firms. I think the way they recruit and the type of questions they ask are quite different. So, I mean, BCG McKinsey will focus more on the high level thinking stuff. They would be very case centric. Uh, the big fours will be focused on the operational and implementation aspects of it. So, they would go very much into the details. I mean, these are just general perceptions. It's not always going to be true, but generally, that's an approach that they take. And depending on your interest area, you can align your preparation accordingly and even your CVs accordingly. Yeah, that's about it.
There's a question that there's a person who is pursuing his MBA second year from a tier 2 college. So she's asking, how should I reach out to the top consulting companies?
uh, okay, is he or she studying in the MBA course right now? Is this a student?
Yeah, in a tier 2 college.
Okay. So if I'm assuming they are asking this because the companies are not coming to their campus, so I think you can always apply offline. And I admit that is a more difficult route, but I've known people who have gone via that route, right? They can apply offline directly from the website. You can go and you can directly apply. But and there are also programs for undergraduates or B school graduates who want to get into that, and they can directly apply. But I know the conversion rates are lower that way. So I think another approach could be that after you have graduated and you've taken a job, I think then if you are trying to switch laterally, that would also make sense for you. So there you can explore full-time options, and MBBs also have these contracted roles where uh, these are called OTA roles, where they need someone on an urgent basis for a project. So they would hire them on a contract basis, and that requires specialization in a very niche area where they want to get the resource for. So they generally hire you on a contract basis for that. And typically, the interview process is also relatively better because they're focusing on that particular area of expertise. And if you've got that, you are good to go. So I think that is also a route through which you can get into MBBs or into a consulting firm that is not coming to your campus. I mean, that is about it. These are the two options. And of course, you can apply laterally later through referrals. Referrals are very helpful. Know the right people who are there in good positions in those companies and try to get a referral into their teams. That is always a good option.
The next is, if an experience is not consulting related but has leadership or problem solving element, how do you best position it?
If it is not consulting relevant and what? Sorry, can you rephrase? Can you reiterate?
If it is not consulting related, if it is not consulting related but has strong leadership or problem
Okay,
solving element,
has strong leadership. Okay, then what is the question?
how do you best position it?
How do you best position it? Okay. Um, I don't think you need consulting experience to position problem solving, right? So, in your work experience, what you want to show is that you have created impact for an organization. And I think it really helps to write these statements if you are not in consulting, because in a consulting role, it's difficult to quantify impact in a 2 month role. But in an industry setup, probably it's a little easier to demonstrate the impact. But I mean, I would leave that up to you. But what's important is what type of team you have led. Worked have you led a team? Have you created impact? If you have worked for a startup, what how many, I think, what domain you have worked in. uh, I mean, from my experience at Revigo, I can take some inspiration. So there, we were working on creating. So they had an order to cash process for uh, enterprise customers. We were trying to set it up for a different cohort of customers. So there we were writing that, okay, we created the product roadmap, identified, we what we did was we interviewed those clients, the sales reps, and created a roadmap for the product, for the to be process, and then implemented it across the organization. And it led to over 200 clients coming in. They got us a lot of revenue. So what we wrote was, we started with the impact, saying that, okay, we redesigned the processes which led to these many new customers and this much of incremental revenue, and this much of process optimization gains. And then we substantiated what we had done to accomplish that. We had created new process roadmaps, training material, a lot of uh, product releases, all that, design mockups, right? There can be different elements through which you can showcase your expertise in a particular area. And I think consulting organizations would love it if you can demonstrate your experience and substantiate that with numbers. To try to be output oriented, don't try to be very complete, don't bore the recruiter, try to wow the recruiter, and always have the impact and the numbers upfront. That should be the highlight of your experience, even if it is non-consulting. Doesn't matter. I hope I've answered your
Um,
question. You can question again if you wanted to ask anything specific, but generally that is what it is.
okay. So our question is, does it help to mention research project or publications in core field or in machine learning in the resume? And if yes, what is the best way to do that?
Definitely it helps here. So I hope the slides are visible. But what I was
Yes.
trying to say was that, okay, you have done a good project, right, in your final year, whatever. You've done a great
Mhm.
technical project. You've written a research publication. I think a research article that has been recognized by a strong publication is very helpful. It sets your CV apart. So please do mention it, and also try to substantiate that with a use case and an impact. So if you've created a machine learning project which predicts crop yield, or which does basic image processing, right, even then try to analyze, identify what use cases it can be applied to. And if you're applying for a company that is working in a particular use case, say if they're working on agri-tech, so try to say that, okay, this can be used to predict crop yield, this can be used to help farmers in this manner. So try to add a use case, try to add impact uh, to your project, and I think that would be good to go. And do mention the brand name of the research publication, if that helps, if that's a well renowned uh, organization.
Um, okay. So a question is, given that the IITG format of CV can be altered a bit, so can you suggest a good flow of headings, like which section should come first and which next, like this?
Okay, interesting. So I mean, that I think would depend on the story you want to tell to the recruiter. So as I said, CV does not need to be everything that you've done in your life. It needs to be a picture, it needs to be a story, needs to be a movie. So what do you want to tell them first depends on what your strengths are. So if you are very strong academically, you've published research papers, you've done great projects in your core areas, so please move your academic achievements on top and mention about, write about that, right? That is your strength. You want to emphasize on whatever your strength is. So if you if you don't have a very good GPA, you probably want to push your PORs or push your sports and extracurriculars above, right? So try to mention that. So start with your strengths, and that's figure out a way to tell a story without jumping too much here and there. So it can be definitely. I think play with your strengths is all I would say.
Okay. Our question is, should we tailor CVs differently for MBBs and other consulting firms, or the standard format is sufficient?
The format is sufficient, but the content can be altered. So if MBBs are, I mean, majorly the differences lie in work experience actually. In the work experience section, MBBs are more focused on high level problem solving, which is more related to strategy, more related to first principles thinking. So the type of work they are looking for is different. But I think at your level, which is focusing on undergraduate students, doing that in an internship is difficult. So I don't think you should you can keep a general format for MBBs, I would say. For general strategy consulting firms, you can keep a general consulting format which plays to your strengths, right? Try to make it well rounded, try to include everything. I think where you need to customize is for companies which are focusing on particular industries. So if I take ZS Associates, you would try to focus on pharma. If you take Indus Insights, you would want to focus on analytics, right? So think because they are focused on a particular area of impact or a particular business function, I think that is where you should try to customize. Uh, and you can keep one general one for core strategy consulting companies. Any other
Our
questions?
question is,
Sorry, I lost you on.
how would you recommend choosing a non? Yeah, one question is there. How would you recommend choosing a non-tech role and the skill set? Now is it audible?
Yeah, audible now.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah, you're audible now.
So the question is, how would you recommend choosing a non-tech role and the skill set that would be tailored to us? Should I repeat
Choosing
it?
a no, no, a
Oh,
non-tech
okay.
role and the skill
How
set
would you recommend choosing a non-tech role and the skill set that would be tailored to us?
and the skill
That
set.
would be
Okay,
tailored to us.
I think you
That
mean
you
what
would
non-tech roles
recommend
you should
to
go for.
have.
It depends on your interest areas. Currently, you do not have to
Like
be.
it mean,
I think I got the question. So what I was saying is that
okay.
you need not be worried about not having done work, not having worked in say product management or not having worked in consulting or any industry right now, because any skills in non-tech right now in skills in non-tech depend on more on domain experience after a while. So unless you have that domain expertise, you don't need to be very worried. I think if you go have a strong analytical mindset, uh, you can go ahead and approach any of the non-tech roles. Totally depends on your interest areas. But if you are focused on particular domains which are you are very sure that I want to say, a lot of people who pursue non-tech are also interested in data science. So for them a lot of analytical consultancies make a lot of sense. So Indus Insights I think is coming to your campus would really help you in uh, getting that getting into that domain into analytics along with consulting. But I think choosing the role in non-tech depends totally on what type of work you want to do. At times we don't know what type of work they are doing. We just have read about the company and we want to go into it and see what work it is doing, whether I like it or not, and that is totally okay. I mean, that is not a crazy idea. A lot of us have done things based on hype, and it's okay. If you want to test it out, see, if you're very curious, you might as well go and see. But if you're aligned on an approach that, okay, I know these are my interest areas and I want to work based on these interest areas, try to identify what type of work they are doing. So, a business analyst role is very general, used very casually, I would say, by a lot of organizations. So I think what would help is you reaching out to people who are working as business analysts in those companies and trying to see for yourself what type of work they're doing, instead of creating a notion that business analysts will only do this type of work. So at Revigo, we were business analysts were also managing operations. They were also in sales. They were also in customer experience. They were also in product teams. So they were all around the place. I think would really help if you talk to people who are currently working in those companies as business analysts to identify whether you like the work or not. But typically, business analysts are supposed to be good at number crunching. But please talk to people who are working in these roles before making up your mind on pursuing them. Consulting roles typically would involve a lot of first principles problem solving. So if you're a person likes uh, who likes exploring a lot, is I mean, who wants to work on things on a high level, but currently seeks more visibility, wants to solve different types of problems across different industries, is fascinated by that kind of work, you can get into consulting. In consulting, the cons are that you don't get very deep into an issue. So you identify the gaps, you figure out an approach, and you even implement it till a point, but then your project ends and you move on, right? You hand it over to the team, and then that team has to deliver. So the negative part to it is that you don't always will be there to see whether or not your ideas worked. And for some people, that is a deal breaker, right? That does not work for them. So if you're that kind of person, don't go for consulting. But if you want to explore, you might as well, right? It's not a bad thing to do. For consulting, I can tell. For product, I think you've had a session. uh, Other roles were general analysts, I think, so it's fine.
Okay, sir. So these are all the questions.
All right.
So that's
We
the wrap of our CV building session. And on behalf of Consulting and Analytics Club of IIT Guwahati, I would like to extend a heartfelt thanks to Shashwat sir for taking the time to share his wealth of experience with us today. Your session was a perfect mix of practical tips, insider perspectives, and real life examples, giving all of us a clearer, more confident approach of building impactful CVs. Your journey from IIT Guwahati to IIM Indore and now leading strategic projects at Capgemini Invent is truly inspiring. A big thank you as well to our audience for your energy and participation. We look forward to see you all at our upcoming sessions. Thank you once again, sir.
Thank you so much, Anya. Thanks, Abhishek, for hosting this. Thank you, everyone. All the very best for your placements. Bye bye.